Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Autopsy time, everybody. I hope we're excited for this one because this is a victory lap. Hail and howdy, everybody. I am Adam, the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome to my victory lap. Welcome to my celebration of the end of Amazon's Wheel of Time. It's been a week since it's been canceled. Actually, I think it's been more than a week. But I haven't had time to get around to making this stream happen because I stream all the time now. And I got other stuff to do, not only for this channel, but for help on other people's channels. And it didn't fit in along with real life and other stuff. But here we are, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. And now we will take some time to just crap all over this. As I will now, we're going to walk through, here's how we do this today. We're going to walk through the timeline. We are going to walk through the timeline using me as our centerpiece for how it was always going to fail. Because it was always going to fail. We're going to get in the Wayback Machine, and we're going to dive right in. We're going to get in the Wayback Machine right now. Let me make sure I have the correct one. Here it is. Yes, here it is. We're going to get in the Wayback Machine, and we're going to go back to my very first, maybe my second video. I think it's my first one because it's the first one in the playlist. My very first, we'll call it that, my very first video of covering Amazon's Waste of Time Wheel of Prime. So let's get in here and let's adjust. How would I want to do this today? Want to do it like this with me here? No, not like that. Me there. I'm a little small myself there now. Like that. No, that's just me, like normal, like that. I want to do it right here. Yeah, we'll go with the normal. Oh, see, that's. Do you guys want it big or small? We'll go with the normal. We'll go with the normal because I am both the star and the subject of this. Anyway, all right, so let's get into this. This is 3 years ago. We are about, I think at the time, a week, maybe two before the premiere. And I was skeptical from the very beginning. As a book guy, I was skeptical because I didn't like the things I was hearing or seeing. I did not like the casting laid out because I could see already. This is 2021. We are in the middle of the DEI nightmare that we suffer on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And I saw it coming. And I talked about it. Now, when I originally put this out, I got so much backlash for this. So much backlash for this. To the point where this video was massively ratio. We're talking like 10% likes to 90% dislikes. But it rallied. when the show came out. Let's listen to what I have to say, and I'll stop and I'll talk to myself a little bit here.
Howdy all.
Look at
Adam the Renaissance.
Look at that young man. Look at that young man right there. He has no idea what he's getting involved with right here. Look how the room is sort of the same. A few small things have changed. I replaced some of the tape is still there. You just can't see it anymore. Holding up the bookshelf. But let's hear what I have to say.
Nerd, and I have willingly been avoiding talking about the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I've
avoided talking about the Wheel.
I didn't want to get involved. I wasn't even sure I was going to review it yet at the time because I wasn't doing reviews yet. That wasn't a thing of the channel. Wheel of Time was like some of the first reviews I ever did, serious reviews. So I wasn't even sure I wanted to do this.
Wheel of Time show coming out very soon, this Friday, in fact.
Okay, it's a week.
Because when I last decided to weigh in on it, I was met with harsh criticism.
Okay, so
stands.
This was my second video. And at the time, the stands, everybody involved, they didn't want to hear boo. It was the original fear of, oh my God, if you're harsh to it, they'll cancel it right away and we'll never get Wheel of Time. Well, now we all wish it never happened in the first place. Don't we? Let's keep going.
Because I don't like the way it looks. There were red flags. We start with the race and the race swaps. They're basically race swaps. The casting did not look good. And I made several comments and people took it harshly. And you know what? At the time of the channel, at that point, it was something I didn't feel like fighting over. So all
right, so let's obviously there was another video. I believe I must have deleted it. I must have deleted the video because it was so harshly annihilated. But let me bring this down because it seems I thought it was going to be in this video, but I don't think it is. Let me just take a quick look. No, I don't. So let's stop for a second here. Let me stop for a second and let me quickly retrieve the original Wheel of Time casting pick. Let me see if I could find that because that was what I used in the original video there. I thought it was in this one, but it is not this video. So let me go Amazon's Wheel of Time original cast announcement. Here it is. Boom, bang, and pow. But that's a very crummy looking picture. It's all bemuddled. Here, or is this is the one? This is one of them. Oh, geez, these are. Why are these coming up? Well, yeah. Let's try opening it up. Let's try opening it. Oh, it's Facebook. That's why. Freaking Facebook. Why do people post shit on Facebook at all? Why? No one uses Facebook anymore. Geez, making me. I don't even have a Facebook account. How do I get in there? This is Facebook too. Yes, it is. God dang it. Well, I failed you just now. I thought I had a ready picture of it, but I don't. Just because of the fact. All right. No, well, yeah, but you can't see who they're lined up as in this one. This one has the ones I want. All right, let me see if I can get it off of here. Stupid retarded Facebook. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay, I got it. This has to actually go there. Okay, let me get it out of here and bring up an actual picture of it. I would prefer to do it this way anyway. All right, so apologize for that slight delay there, but here we go. This is essentially the original cast pick announcement that we got. And as we talk about this today, there are several things. We're going to go down a list of reasons why Amazon's Wheel of Time failed. And it started with the fact that it was not going to be, well, let's go through the whole list and we'll break it down as we go along. It was not going to adhere to the lore. It was going to break the lore. Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, the nightmare creation of woke Hollywood, basically said, we're not going to follow the books. Then the cast, not only full of race swaps, but really bad race swaps. It's like they couldn't find a pretty woman for this show in a story that's filled with beautiful women. All right. So on top of that, then they changed the lore. What do I mean by that? They changed the magic system. They changed how the one power worked. They changed, as I was going to show you in that video there, we'll go back to that one. They changed the lore surrounding the Dragon Reborn. And then from that, they not only changed the lore of how the world works, but they changed the characters. Every single one of these characters right here, represented by these mostly race swap people, every single one of them, they did not have the proper relationship with each other and with others who who should have existed down the line. But then they cut characters out. And then they created characters. I'll point to that one in a second here. They created characters. They talked about, we don't have all the time in the world to make 14 seasons of television. So we have to shrink the story and shrink the characters, but we have time for filler episodes. We got time for filler episodes. So that's how it worked. All right? Not to mention horrible production value, horrible acting, writing, special effects, changing how the monsters work, how the beasts, how the dark ones, minions worked, changing the Forsaken. I mean, they changed everything. That's where we got to with this. So this was the first video I made on all this stuff when they announced this cast list, and I said these people do not work. The dude who played Rand is the closest one that sort of worked, but then we had race swapped Egwene and race swapped Nynaeve and race swapped Perrin existing in the middle of nowhere. Two Rivers somehow was magically diverse. Not to mention they changed the character relations. We'll come back. We're going to have to go through all of this step by step. Then there's the problem of Moiraine, Rosamund Pike. They made her the center of the show. For some reason, they decided to make her the center of the show, make her the main character when Rand al'Thor is number one, followed closely by Mat and Perrin. They decided to just go all over the place and ruin it like that. And then there is the piece de resistance in this. Another article I have, it was a recent article this year that we'll use to cover this part of this discussion. They literally made everybody gay. I shit you not. They made everybody gay. And when you understand how broken that makes the story, how destructive it is to each and every single character that they turned gay, you realize that they never cared. And by they, I mean Rafe Judkins never cared about telling the Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. He cared about butchering it and putting it up as his masterpiece, his perfect work. So none of these worked. Tom appeared for half a scene and disappeared when he should have been part of the main storyline. Loyal. I always called him Loyal, but I know he's Loyal. Loyal. Yeah. The ridiculous makeup they had on that man. Again, Matt, they stole his story and gave it to Perrin. Race swap Perrin, who magically had a wife at the beginning of the story and never touched the hammer or the axe for 2 seasons. Nynaeve, race swapped Nynaeve, bitch on wheels, but in this one, oh, she's just misunderstood and ugly to sin. Race swapped Lan. I see Lan, I see Hans, I know it's Lan. Race swapped Lan. Now he's Asian and really tiny instead of 6'5" made of brick wall. Logain was an abomination. All of them were abomination. Alana and her thruple gay wardens with each other. And this guy right here, made up warden who loses his Aes Sedai at one point, and instead of joining Alana and her gay wardens, he Minecrafted himself. That was an entire episode of filler. Never happened in the books. They made Leandrin more of a character than she was in the books. They made her essentially the Aleda of the books, even if Aleda was a dark one, a dark friend. Sorry, dark friend. And then, of course, race swapped Swan and race swapped Min. 40-year-old Min. We called her 40-year-old Min because this chick is supposed to be one of the 3 love interests of Rand al'Thor. And she's a 40-year-old Asian chick who wasn't even hot and didn't even remotely resemble Min in any way, shape, or form. Now, we could go into the other ones here, but they're all miscast, all terrible, or fanfic characters. It's all an abomination. So this was how I started reporting on this stuff. I pointed out how I had fears that with all the race swaps, it was going to be bad. And as I said in my video that we're going to go back to now, I got annihilated. I got absolutely, annihilated by the fans at the time. At the time, I wasn't going to call them stands yet because we didn't know what a stand was yet. We weren't really familiar. We had a slight indication from Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff like that, but the Wheel of Time fans would all become stands and apologists for this show. So it started with the cast. The first mistake was the cast. That is what went wrong first. And now we keep going. And now here's the next part.
I took a step back, withstood the attack saying, you're not a real fan. You never notice when you disagree over something, the angry stands always go, you're not a real fan.
Yep, my books.
Let's go
right there.
Well, no. These books look real to me. They've been read. Currently reading them again. The only reason you don't see my paperbacks is because they've been falling apart completely as I've been doing my reread.
My paperbacks that I reread in preparation for the seasons, they did fall apart completely. I had to get rid of them. One day I hope to get hardcovers of the ones I don't have in hardcover. I hope to do that at one point.
This year, and actually since last year, I've been taking it slow because I'm reading a lot of books at once here. And then there's this is my pride and joy.
I'm going to show it off. I'll let me show it off.
My Wheel of Time collection right here. It's a copy of Fires of Heaven. I bought this in 1998, a hard copy version. When
all right, you know what? I've actually told this story many times. It's my signed copy. Robert Jordan met the man great. Let's skip ahead. Let's get back to the meat potatoes, Adam. Don't dilly dally.
How hiding the Dragon Reborn will help the show stick its landing.
Well,
first of all, they're now saying that any of the Two Rivers 5 could be the Dragon Reborn.
And there it was. This is where they started changing the story to suit agenda-driven needs. Because, as I mentioned a bit ago, one of the horrible problems is they altered the lore of the world in order to fit in with the agenda of the time, i.e., making sure women's had a place. I mean, here's the problem with this. Egwene and Nynaeve, they have magnificent stories within the Wheel of Time. They did not need to be included as Dragon Reborn candidates, despite the fact that the Dragon Reborn, Louis Theron Telamon, was a man and would be reborn as a man, not a woman, a man. Also, the problem here now stems from the fact that they decided to change the One Power. The next big problem. In the books, the One Power is divided into Sidon and Cider. You got 2 different parts. Men can use Sidon, women can use Cider. They can't see each other's weaves. They can't see each other. They can't sense it. That's how it works. In this one, it's all One Power. Those 2 words are never mentioned. And the poison is just poisoning men. And women have to save the world, according to how this show works. So there you go. They poisoned it by changing the lore and therefore adding agency to characters that didn't need it. Not to mention, they butchered the relationships, and we'll get to that. So let's see what Adam has to say some more here.
They've aged them up, which is stupid, because it destroys kind of the whole point of their characters and their growth from teenagers to young adults. throughout the entire series and all the things that are thrust upon them as they grow. This is Rafe Jenkins, the supposed guy who loves this so much.
I said Jenkins.
Who is
Judkins.
being so faithful to the story. One thing we're trying to hide from the audience is who the Dragon Reborn is. It's the mystery of the show as we start to unravel this story. No.
Yeah, no, exactly, Ad. Exactly. No. In the books, you know that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. It's a very simple fact. There's no mystery to it. But they had to make it a mystery because they had to butcher it because they had to give Wayman's agency to two characters that didn't need it. So I'm going to go on and on. I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to quote some Rafe Juggins. Let's jump over here to right here. And these were the early reviews that came out and said it was going to be bad. It wasn't going to work. There was too much. They're moving too quickly. They only have 8 episodes. So they had to move quickly. This whole thing was a disaster. And then here, let's get to the next part right here. I'm talking about this right here. Here was the next big problem. They changed relationships. In the story, in the real story, these are teenagers, late teenagers, but teenagers are all the same, reaching the time where they're supposed to be thinking about courtship and marriage and things like that. Well, in the books, Rand is a virgin. Rand is a virgin. Egwene is a virgin. They're all virgins. And there is no relationship. Rand and Egwene are not a couple. In fact, they're what you call the almost couple. They thought they were meant to be, but in fact they weren't because there was never anything there. Rand is meant to be paired with 3 other women, 3 beautiful women. Now, Egwene is beautiful in her own way, but not Moly over here. Moly over here turns out to be the greatest of all. It's about her. It's never about Rand. It's always about her. She's going to save Rand time and again because she's clinging to their relationship and he's clinging to hers. And here's the problem. When we go forward in this, Rand won't even get to have a relationship with his real love interest. Why do I say that? Because on the one hand, I don't have any images for that, but it's kind of a waste of time at this point. On the one hand, when they introduced Lanfear, instead of having it be Lanfear, who after their initial meeting, when she's pretending to be what's her name in Great Hunt, she reveals herself to be Lanfear. Rand wants nothing to do with her. Wants nothing to do with her. Knows that as a Forsaken, she will destroy him if he lets her in. Well. In the books, in the show, they're effing all the time. And then he's obsessed with her for the remainder of this short, horrible series. Even though we get introduced to Elaine Traken, Avienda, and we saw 40-year-old Min who showed zero interest in him, even though she knew the moment she saw him, she was going to fall in love with him due to her visions and abilities. So right there, because they destroyed the relationships, they could never properly advance the story. You can't move the story if primary love interests are not there. And it gets even worse when you think about the fact that they make everybody gay. What am I talking about? Let's go back to the cast list here. Rosamund Pike's Moiraine eventually falls in love with Tom Maryland. Eventually. Way down the line. Swan Sanche falls in love with Gareth Brine after their tumultuous relationship. Not in the show. In the show, they used 4 episodes to build up to the fact that Moiraine and Swan were gay together. That's right. That's right. It's dining at the clam bar, pounding scissor me timbers. All for that, to create a relationship that never existed, to create tension in the White Tower that doesn't exist, to make Leandrin McGay, to make all the women in this show McGay. She's not up here, but the chick that they're not, I don't have them on this cast, but the chick who played Avienda, the ugly chick, who was a race swap again to play Avienda. They made her gay with Elaine. So think about it like this. Rand didn't get any of his actual romances, didn't get to start any of them because they made them all either inappropriate or gay. Because they made Elaine and Avienda gay together this last season. Made them gay. Because Rafe Judkins never cared. That is one of the largest crimes of this whole thing. I've covered this article in the past, so I'm going to cover it again right here. Rafe Judkins never cared. Wheel-Time Showrunner expanding show's queer universe in season 3 and the high fantasy genre. It was worth devoting my life to. Right there. This told you everything you needed to know up to this point. He never cared about telling Robert Jordan's Wheel-Time. All he cared about was taking Robert Jordan's characters and making them all queer and ruining the story for that. Making Moiraine and Swan some sort of tragic love story that they couldn't be together. That's all he cared about doing with this. So let's go through it all again right now. What have we learned so far? We're burning through this because it's really a short story of how all this worked in the end. It's really a very short story of how this all worked in the end. They butchered the lore to change the casts. They changed the cast, race swap, and sexuality swap for agenda reasons. And then they used those sexuality swaps to change the characters' stories so that these characters couldn't have the proper relationships to tell the story as necessary. And then the story changes happen all over the place. As I said, they took Matt's story and gave it to Perrin for the second season, The Hunt for the Dagger, because the guy who was playing Matt got the hell out of there. He saw it was going to be a bad deal. He got the hell out. So they got brought in another guy, but they took it all out. And then by the time you get to dealing with the Forsaken, it's all broken. You had the wrong Forsaken there at the wrong time. You had a misrepresentation of Ishmael. Complete misrepresentation. I mean, good God. You had one of the greatest series written in the past 30 years. And you took it and you butchered it for the sake of agenda. You took it, you butchered it just to make your point about queerness, to make your point about feminism, to take a world where the story is all about men and women achieve the greatest things by working together with equal share. You took that and made a world instead in television here that men are all evil, men are terrible, and women are in charge, and the greatest love stories are between gay women. That's what you got with this. That's what you got. So when you change characters, you change the story. Rand never has a real relationship with Lan. Doesn't learn to use the sword, really. Not until this final season where they spend 5 minutes in a mini training montage, apparently. So all the stuff that Rand's supposed to do doesn't happen. And then they cut things out. That's the other thing. In their quest for expediency, in their quest to make sure that they get it all done, even though they're cutting things out and adding things that weren't there, they leave out major events. Everything surrounding the Eye of the World, gone. Green Man, gone. The Forsaken that attack at the Eye of the World, gone. Never existed. Rand, saving the armies, saving the day at the end of the battle when he has a rage moment at the end of Eye of the World, doesn't happen. Instead, they gave it to a bunch of women. No man in this show is allowed to be a hero. At the end of season 2, when Rand is supposed to be fighting Ishmael and beating him in that grand display of a battle that was supposed to be shown across the skies, he doesn't win on his own. He's losing until Egwene slips in and defends him. Never allowed to be a hero. I mean, apparently they sort of allowed him to be that at the end of this last season, but it still wasn't real. Wasn't right. They didn't even get the old school lore right. Showing the time, going through the test for Chieftain and Rudian, and where Rand goes to Terran and he sees everything. No, he didn't even go to Terran. He's supposed to walk through it, and it's like an active thing going on there. Instead, him and Moraine get stuck in this floating thing where they bastardize all that. And once again, the biggest problem of Moraine being the central character in all of this, the entire show revolves around her. Because Rosamund Pike was the only real star they had in this thing that had a legitimate career prior. A couple of other people did, but she was the centerpiece of it all. So when you're looking at all of this, you look at when we cut open this body, this thing was poisoned from the start. It died from poison. The poison of, and I don't use this word too often anymore, but it was for when this happened, the woke agenda, the ideological agenda of the commie Marxist left. That is where it went with this. That is what killed it. It's very clear. But then you have to take a step back. Why did this happen? Why did Rafe Judkins poison this? Very simple answer, which I've given in the past. Rafe Judkins hated Robert Jordan. He hated what he created. I mean, we've used this example before. What was worse, Rings of Power or Wheel of Time? Both at Amazon, both helmed by, both brought to life, by Jennifer Salke and protected by Jennifer Salke. She's not there anymore, which is why it was canceled. Rings of Power, the abomination that is, as terrible as it is, it's just run by idiots who are dumb and stupid and using agenda as well, but they're just idiots. What you see done to Wheel of Time, when you go in there, when you're Rafe Judkins, you go in there and you poison it from the very beginning to deconstruct the world of Robert Jordan. You take away all masculinity, all heterosexuality, all proper character relationships, all the way the world works with the lore. When you go in there and you take it all away and then fill it back up with poisoned versions of it, that is not stupidity. That is malice. That is hatred. You did that with hate in your heart. It's a very simple explanation. And I guess if you want to go back to it, that is why in the end it failed. Now, I got another video of me here. Which one is this? It's explaining the agenda. Let's listen to what I have to say with this one, because now I believe we're towards the end of it. We're after it. Here we go. This is me explaining how bad it was. This is showing we're into season 2, and they didn't get it. Season 1 was a failure, an outright failure. You can't say, oh well, it got us season 2. No, they signed the dotted line on season 2 before season 1 aired, so they went in for penny for pound. So let's just what I have to say about the Avienda waist swap. I'm going to make some pretty good points here. And I should share the screen. It'd be a good idea if I shared the screen. Here we go. I'm Adam, the Renaissance Nerd. As promised, when there's Wheel of Time news to be had, I am here to bring it to your attention. Whether the stands and the SJWs and the woke tards want me to or not, because I'm not afraid of them. Never will be. They can't do anything to intimidate me.
Still not afraid.
They have no real power.
We're still here.
Since the beginning of this abomination that is Amazon's Wheel of Time, I have been skeptical. I said from the start, as soon as you started race swapping characters, you were destroying the vision of one Robert Jordan. Early on in my channel, I made a video about that, and oh boy, the SJWs in the stands, they descended upon me with such ferocity that I said, you know what? Channel's young. It's in its infancy. I didn't bend the knee, but I understood I did not have the power to push back and stop this from hurting my channel. So I backed off. I didn't apologize. I just backed off and said, you know what? I'm going to wait until the opportunity
the proper moment to bring this back around. And I did bring it back around. And a lot of you came on board this channel because you appreciated my honesty.
I gotta say that, man. I'm glad I got a new microphone. This is before I had the pop filter on that one. Old microphone, old stuff. I could see all the old things there. Look at that. Look at that. Me actually using sunlight instead of having the lamp on. That was a bold move. That was a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold move.
About it. Rafe Judkins and his cohorts, his band of artards who call themselves writers, who call themselves creators, producers, directors, they think they know better.
I got to remind you of this because I almost forgot it. When they announced season 2, or is that Rings of Power? No, I think it was Rings of Power. Was it this? One of them had like they were so proud of their all-female directors for a season. It might have been Rings of Power.
Think they're geniuses. They love the fact that they can change Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time and be praised for it by the woke virtue signaling crowd. So they had no problem when they began their race swapping. And it's a long list. Let's just go through some of the best ones, shall we?
Wait a minute. I was wearing the same I just realized I was wearing the same shirt in the first video. Now I have been wearing the same shirt in that one. I like that. I was wearing that shirt today when I was doing housework.
Top of the list is, of course, Nynaeve. Ooh, there's a race swap.
All right, so now this is good. This is some classic fan art of Nynaeve. This was fan art that was accepted by the Robert Jordan estate. They were okay with it. That's the real Nynaeve. Brunette, basically Midwest corn-fed booty. That's who Nynaeve was. Beautiful.
Egwene, another race swap.
Moly, 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 moly.
Love that mole. Rafe Judkins apparently loves moles. We'll get back to that. Min.
I told you, 40-year-old men. 40-year-old men. That ain't men. That ain't men.
Let's get a 40-year-old Asian woman to play a 21-year-old white girl. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't stop there. Perrin, let's just put a big black dude in there. Not a problem. Black dude who has one facial expression.
Yeah, this dude is one of the worst actors I've ever seen. He's just Mr. That's all he ever did. And that's on top of everything. The acting was horrible in this show. Terrible acting, terrible scripts.
What else? Oh, Swan Sanche. Let's put her in there, and to boot, let's change her sexuality.
This is post-stilling when she was Gareth Bryan's maid for a while there. Yeah, that's a white woman. No tattoos. No obsession with covering her in tattoos.
Just to make it fun. Of course, Lon, supposed to be tall, broad-shouldered, brooding white dude. Let's just make him Korean.
Yeah, make him a small Korean man who cries. Who cries? He cried. He cried a lot.
Okay. Ugh. Those are just the favorites. The ones that come to mind. Last night, we were graced with the announcement, the reveal. I mean, they did this apparently a long time ago. The reveal that Avienda has
oh my God, she is so ugly. That is not a pretty woman. And Avienda, I'm going to show you right here,
also been race swapped to this lovely
and it's also ginger side
individual. I tell you, Rafe Judkins must have a mole fetish. He must have a mole fetish. I mean, I'm not one to talk. I got a nice beauty right here, but hey, I was born with it, and I live with it.
One day I'm getting this thing lopped off. One day I finally will. I hate this mole on my lip. I despise it. I hate it. One day I will get it lopped off. Problem is it'll leave a scar and I'll probably leave a hole in my face, a bald spot in my facial hair. So that'll be weird, but I'll live with it because I hate this mole. I despise it.
Got between Egwene and this one, what is with casting these chicks with moles? Not to mention, I'm sorry, and this is my opinion, and I happen to think my opinion is shared by many. None of these women are beautiful women. These are homely at best across the board.
Listen,
And you
listen. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but by my eye, these are not beautiful women. I don't find these women attractive whatsoever. I would throw each and every one of them out of bed, and then I chase them out of my house every time.
can call me a racist and a bigot if you want to. No, these are not pretty girls, as opposed to the books where they are all of them drop dead, gorgeous.
You see that? All right. Well, that right there. Let's go back 1 second there. That was the shot of Rand's love. That's Avienda, that's Elaine, and that's Min. 3 gorgeous women. Avienda's a freaking 6'3" supermodel. Elaine is just a beautiful princess. But they got rid of them.
Drop dead, gorgeous women of fantasy that are supposed to play with your dreams. I mean, here is Avienda's description taken from Wheel of Time Wikia. She stood in one smooth motion, surprisingly pale.
Surprisingly pale.
Sun had not touched her. Slender and hard-muscled, yet with roundness and softness that haunted his dreams. The Fires of Heaven, Chapter 52. Avienda is tall and athletically built, though with ample curves. Her eyes are blue-green, and she has dark reddish hair, once short and now held back with a scarf as it is growing out. There's Avienda's, portrayed by fan art for decades. And here is, again, who we have now. Notice the differences. This is the common SJW mistake, and Rafe Judkins, make no mistake, is an SJW. This is their error, that when they do more representation and more inclusion and more diversity, they feel the need to, oh, how do I put this? Paint the world as they think it should be. Just because somebody comes from a desert situation doesn't mean they're going to be.
Yeah, the hair. And that was the hair she had in the show. They gave her freaking dreadlocks in the show. And then they made her gay with Elaine. I mean, they made her gay with Elaine. When this came around, again, I didn't get super ratio. By then, this is already going in season 2. We had already won in a sense. They weren't. Those who supported Wheel of Time were on the back feet, and they were retreating to Twitter is where they were going. They had lost the YouTube war, and it was easy at this point. I knew I wasn't going to get pushback. I'd already won. Sammy Thousands for $2. Mary F. Kill. Sleep with Avienda, Min, Elaine. Sleep with Mary. Oh, so Mary F. Kill. Okay. My favorite is Elaine, but she's the daughter heir. She don't want to marry her because they got a rule. And Min always was the wife, essentially, of Rand. So I'm going to have to say kill Avienda, because let's be honest, Avienda she may be gorgeous, but she's a bitch. She's a bitch and a half. You marry Min and you sleep with Elaine, because Min's going to take care of you. That's what she wants to do. And Elaine was my favorite, so I would just like to have sex with her. So that I get that. Mary F. Kill. There you go, Sam. That's my response to that. That's my response to that one. But yeah, so at that point when I released that video, which was really the culmination of the race swapping, it really proved they didn't give a shit anymore. I didn't get any pushback whatsoever. I won that one very easily. And I did season 2. I did the reviews. They're still up. That was when it became apparent nobody cared anymore, because as Kale said here, we won. We were winning already, but nobody cared. Nobody cared. And when season 2 ended and they were so off script, and that's one of the other things, as I said, that led to this destruction. They weren't telling the story. They had changed so much of Rand's journey, of all their journeys, taking journeys away, giving other people's work to do, changing relationships would change the journeys, how people move through the world. I mean, Moiraine did not lose her ability to use the power. She basically chased after Rand for an entire book when Rand went MIA in The Dragon Reborn. And then she just tried to be an advisor, and he kept rejecting her. So it when you take the story and make it about somebody who isn't the star, it changed everything. And then at the same time, you made her relationships all wrong. Changed everything. Hell, you want to talk about screwing a relationship, screwing a character arc. Nynaeve, her major problem for 8 books is that 7, 8 books, I forget exactly what moment, is that she can't, because of the way her brain works, she cannot open herself to cider. She can't, unless she gets super pissed off. And one of the things that keeps her from being at peace, because for several books, she has unrequited love with Lan, who is Moraine's warder and bound to her. And when Moiraine disappears at the end of Fires of Heaven, the bond was still intact. But that means Lan was also free. So when they finally are together and get married and have all the smecks in the world, finally, Nynaeve's able to break through her block. So in the show, they have sex on their first date at the end of the season. So where's the block then? She got everything she wanted. She got Lan. But they had the sex right away. And they still had her with the block for a while, which she did apparently unfold so she could have her epic fight with Moghedien, which is not how it worked in the book. She still had her block when she had her epic fight with Moghedien at the end of during Dragon Reborn. Was it Dragon Reborn? I always mix that up. Honestly, I always mix it up. I always read those books so close together. I always mix it up if it's Great Hunt or Dragon Reborn. I know it's not. Where's the Shadow Rising? I always forget. I honestly always forget. I always mix it up. Anyway, point is, they ruined these characters for the sake of sensationalizing their behavior. Got to have sex. Got to be gay. Got to do this. Got to do that. All for pops in a show. This show had such an easy layup. You're Amazon. You got all the money in the world to spend. Somebody comes to you with this, they'll pitch you. Let's be fair. Let's say they pitch them 9 seasons. 9 seasons. Where sometimes you combine 2 books into 1 season. It would be rough, but if you had 10 to 12 episodes, you might be able to do it. Hour long, you could maybe do 5 and 5. You could maybe get away with it for the first few books. And then devote a season to a book as you go on further. And you go and you pitch that and you say, listen, we're not going to do anything wild. We're just going to tell the story that Robert Jordan told us. We'll take shortcuts where we need to in order to make, because nothing's ever going to be adapted 1 for 1. Let's not play that game. But you had such an easy layup. That's all you had to do. And you would have had a built-in rabid fan base ready to sing your praises. But what did you do? You race swapped. Your sexuality swapped. You broke the lore. You broke the story. You changed literally everything. You changed the DNA of Robert Jordan's world to suit your agenda-driven purposes. And boom. You lost your real fans, and all you had left by now for this final season were the kind of people who go on Twitter and cry and vomit and scream and shout, that kind of weird shit that they say they do. That's all who was left. And they were only there. I don't have them anymore because I hadn't been planning. I didn't know I was going to need to do an autopsy stream months ago because I wasn't sure when this was going to be canceled. I knew it was going to. I just wasn't sure when. All they wanted to post about was calling Swan mother, how great it was that lesbians are represented in high fantasy. Lesbians, this, gay, that. Why can't these characters be gay? Why aren't the boys effing each other? All that stuff. That's all they want to talk about. Gay, 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 gay. That's it. That's who was left. The modern audience who only care about where you stick your dick or jam a finger. That's all who was left. And the few shills and fake fans who are ideologically programmed and love it all anyway because it's speaking to them on their commie Marxist left-hard level. That's all you had left. To the point where they're all consoling each other constantly. Why hasn't it been canceled? Look, it was number 1 in Denmark. It was number 1 in Nigeria. That kind of shit. It's scoring high on IMDb. IMDb that's owned by Amazon. IMDb, which is not a real rating system for television and movie ratings. It's just a did you like it review system. That's not ratings. And also, IMDb reviews, one of the most easily manipulated websites on the internet. Massively able to monkey with it. So easy. Doesn't take any effort at all. So you lost your fan base because you pandered to queerdos and weirdos and degenerates. So it finally gets canceled. And here we are. And it was canceled in the end because it was made with malice. It was poisoned from the start when you're going to change every little aspect that Robert Jordan made. Yep. That's pretty much it. I don't know much more I could say. I mean, if I had an actual panel, might have been able to have a little discussion, but some of the Wheel Time people, I don't really hang out with them anymore, so we're not really in communication, so I couldn't reach out to them. And everybody else that I hang out with didn't read the books or watch the show. And I don't know guys like Shadiversity, so I can't reach out and say, hey, Shad, want to come talk about this? I don't know Shad. So he's not somebody I can just reach out to and say, come on, talk about Wheel of Time and how bad it was. So this is my thing. So I hope you guys understand where I went with all this. It's not complicated. This autopsy was not a complicated conclusion. Poisoned from birth because of butchery. Active butchery to characters and lore, which fundamentally changed everything about the show. There was nothing Wheel of Time. I mean, the reason I didn't do season 3, one, because you guys didn't care. You told me you didn't care. You told me you didn't feel like watching me do it. You said, Adam, don't hurt yourself. You have other things to hurt you. We'll laugh at that. But nobody cared. And also, season 3 was so off book. They skipped the book. They skipped Dragon Reborn and went to Rising Shadow. Shadow Rising. Went to Shadow Rising. Went right to Shadow Rising. And didn't even do that right because they left out all the events of Dragon Reborn. No tier, no calendar, no nothing. Nothing. None of the setup. I mean, Dragon Reborn was a fascinating book because Rand is literally removed from the entire story. It had every. I mean, here's the thing: Rand may be the central character, but Robert Jordan did take him off the stage multiple times so that other people could tell their stories. They didn't have to change and make Moiraine the center of attention. If you had followed the books normally, Rand would have stepped aside for a period of time, and Matt and Perrin and Egwene and Nynaeve, they all would have gotten time in the sun in proper pacing. That's where I'm pacing. Proper pacing. But no, you had to make Rosamund Pike the star because it's the only real star you had. You had to make her gay to ruin her relationship so that you could have tragic gay love story. And of course, then they had to add in action scenes that never happened. Wheel of Time as a book of fantasy, not high fantasy. Wheel of Time, let's get one thing straight. Wheel of Time is fantasy, but it's not high fantasy because there's only humans. There's no elves, there's no dwarves, and the one power as a magic system is a unique magic system that not everybody can learn. You either can do it or you can't. So I wouldn't call it high fantasy. It's just fantasy. Lord of the Rings is high fantasy. Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, that was high fantasy with what it dealt with. I would say Wheel of Time is not high fantasy. It's just hardcore fantasy. But you had a chance to tell a truly fantastical world, and you shit on it for the sake of everything. Because they had to make men bad and women great. I mean, remember the opening line of the first episode: men destroyed the world and women had to fix it. A lot of people tuned out immediately at that point. A lot of people tuned out right away. I, of course, didn't because I was there to do it. So either way, so I don't know if I have much more to say on this now. We've been going for almost an hour, and it didn't quite go the way I thought it would, but I guess part of me wanted to hurry up and get it done because I don't ever want to talk about this again. I don't ever want to talk about the show again. And guess what? I don't have to because it's canceled. I think they're trying to do a petition like they did with the Acolyte, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Nobody's going to touch this show with a 10-foot pole because it's garbage and it had no ratings. I mean, here, I'll show you the ratings. I'll bring it up. I do have the ratings. I won't have all of them because I forgot to save the images when they started, but I do have everything from a certain point. And I can tell you, even though I forgot to save it, I can tell you that from episodes, they did a triple episode drop on the week of March 14th. I can tell you that it didn't chart. And here it was. This was episode 5, I think. Didn't chart. Episode 6 didn't chart. Episode 7 didn't chart. And episode 8. Oh, I'm sorry. Episode 7 did chart. I'm sorry. The penultimate episode did chart, barely. But then with episode 8, the finale plummeted to the bottom of the Nielsen's. And it only appeared on the Nielsen's because of the way Nielsen's does these things. Nielsen charts, or at this point records all minutes viewed of all seasons on a platform. And there were already 2 seasons. But when you go to Samba, it never appeared once throughout its entire season 3-1 on Samba. And Samba is a much better, accurate showing of how something's doing. I mean, perfect example. We're not here to talk about that. Different show, different franchise. But Andor barely showed up on Samba during its run. Bottom 5, both a couple times it did. While towards the end on Nielsen's, it did show up because 2 seasons. Not really a success. Nobody was watching. Nobody watched. And in the end, that's why it was canceled. Because nobody watched because you made a show for the modern audience and not for real fans. And if they had made a show for real fans, you could have gotten 14 seasons if you've done one book at a time and been one of the greatest achievements in television genre television in history. Honestly, if Wheel of Time had been done really well, it would have destroyed Game of Thrones. House of the Dragon, because newsflash, Robert Jordan was a better writer than Germ. He died, and his story still got finished. That boy can't even finish his last couple books because I'm an exploratory writer. He doesn't know what he's doing. Piece of fat shit. But yeah, so this could have been one of the greatest things of all time. But it couldn't. because of Agenda and the period of time in entertainment history where Agenda ruled the day, because a lot of people were dumb and stupid and afraid of a man whose skin got orange from too much tan. Yep. Well, there we go. These were only 8 episodes a season. Yes. Ariel, you are complete. Wheel of Time is Robert Jordan, not Stephen King. I have no idea what you're thinking. You're thinking a Dark Tower, perhaps, which also had failed adaptations. But fuck Stephen King anyway. He's not that talented either. That man doesn't deserve his career either. Anyway, all right. So I don't have much more to say. I hope you guys appreciated all the coverage I did for all this time. It was painful. If you want to watch my reviews and watch and do meltdown, they're also here. They're not the original uploads, but they were re-uploaded after monetization. They're all there. They got the playlist. You can watch me lose my shit. You can watch me give more specific details at the time of why it was bad and why I always knew it was going to fail. I always knew it was going to fail, and here it is. It got canceled, and I was right. We were right in the end. As we said earlier, we won. We won one. But the problem is, we're likely never to get a Wheel of Time adaptation ever now. We're never going to get one. Personally, I don't need one. Books are always better in some way, shape, or form. So especially something as heavily detailed as Robert Jordan's World. The books are always going to be better. Or do animated. Or just do animated. You get away with the animated stuff. I'm not going to do Dark Tower. Fuck Dark Tower. I don't give a shit about Stephen King or Dark Tower. Not at all. Stephen King's a hack. Untalented hack. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up and go take the rest of the night off like I normally would on a Tuesday. But I had to get this one done. I've been promising for 2 weeks, and I keep my promises. So thank you, everybody, for joining me this evening, whether you came in early or came in late or you're watching on the replay. Thank you, guys. Remember, guys, if you had a good time and you are new here, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 4,000. At this moment, we are only 33 away. No, sorry, 23. Sorry. No, 33. Yeah, 33 away. 33 away from 4,000 subs. And strange and wonderful things happen after 4,000, what I'm told. So thank you, guys. I wish I could talk more, but I'm just going to keep repeating myself. If I had a panel, if I had some guests, we could talk about it more, do that. But either way, in the future, though, I'm going to give you guys opportunities to suggest autopsies. So tune in to the Daily Dive every day at 1 p.m. Eastern to get involved with future ideas for streams. Like going forward, after the next Nerdgasm, which is Doctor Who, it's going to happen in a week or two, I'm going to give you guys opportunities to say, what Nerdgasm would you guys like to see? What would you like us to talk about on Nerdgasm? What would you like me to do for an autopsy if something's done or over? And then a new show coming up soon, Nerd Fight, a debate show I'm going to put together. What nerd topic would you like to have two nerds debate over that will have two polar opposite views on? I'm going to put it in the hands of you guys because you know what? I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it to entertain you. So tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, a Daily Dive for opportunities to let me know what you want to see. So thank you, guys. You guys have a rest of good night. Go enjoy yourselves. I'll see you guys tomorrow on another Double D's. Until then, take it easy, everybody.